Volley, Searing Spear, Pillar of Flame, and Bump of the Night backing everything up.
Bump of the Night.
So Zombies was definitely the deck that a lot of people anticipated being the defining deck because it was quite good in the previous standard season and really lost nothing of note in the rotation. But this shows that the answer to these questions is a little more complicated than who has the least rotating out, because there's a lot of moving parts that influence whether these decks are viable or particularly good in the metagame. And Zombies, even with the 12 1 power, the 2 power 1 drops, hasn't been that big of a feature in the metagame.
On the right-hand side, for you guys at home, we have Martin Goldman-Kirst. He is a Seattle local. He has played in the Pro Tour about 5 or 6 times. He also finished in the top 8 of the last time we were here in Seattle in the Legacy Open with Allurn. He is basically what we consider, because I do play with him quite a bit. He is what most consider in the area to be the PTQ end boss.
Sure.
You know, he's been he is very good at winning PTQs, very good at top 8ing PTQs. He'll drive to Boise, he'll drive to Vancouver to go to a PTQ, and that's how he gets himself onto the train. He doesn't really fly for Grand Prix or anything. But this was local for him. He opted to go to this instead of the Portland PTQ, and he is playing Bant Control today. And this is just honestly your most standard Bant Controls that you're going to find as you see him cycling in Azorius Charm right now. There's nothing innovative about this. He told me during deck building that he basically took Jerry Thompson's list from the most recent SCG Premium article and just changed some things to the way he likes to play Magic, and that's about it.
Well, this is going quite poorly for Martin here after cycling twice. Still cannot find a third land or green mana. Kevin Foster's stuck on 1 land here, but obviously his deck is much better suited to win this kind of game than Michael's.
Peter Sharp, your draft is waiting for you.
We're going to see a
bump
it up.
So that'll knock him down to 11 here.
Martin draws another Azorius Charm.
Just another mystery box.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
Gotta get cycling, my friend.
The thing is, he also would ideally like to Azorius Charm his opponent who's stalled on 1 land here.
Yeah, he'd love to.
He's just going to discard the Terminus. So I believe he's committed to Azorius Charming one of the 1 drops.
How do you feel about that versus cycling, trying to hit a land drop?
A lot of it just depends on whether or not Foster draws a second land here. But that, with no second land here, it looks pretty insane.
But he has another 1 drop. Wow.
Oh, okay. Then that makes the play much worse.
Yeah. I think Martin needs to draw a green land like this turn. And he drew an Angel Serenity. That's not a green land at all.
Nope.
And Martin's deck does play 24 lands, so it's not like he's skimping on lands at all. And he does have 4 Farstakes and 4 Azorius Charms to kind of be able to get through his deck so he can hit his land drops. Just rather unfortunate circumstance this game.
Yep.
And funny thing is as we're probably going to see another 1 drop here, the one that was put on top of his deck to make it a lethal attack. If Martin does draw a Terminus, things are oddly enough turned around. He is looking at that card. He almost got me. Huh?
No, there's no way he would slow roll, right?
Yeah.
I don't really know if I want to Miracle my Terminus here.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
Your turn. Discard again. Your turn.
Yeah. As we see, Martin's last card that he drew there was a Temple Garden, would have knocked him down to 3. Farseek would have got him land, he would have died. So Martin does just pack it up, pack it in. Let us begin talking about Martin's sideboard.
Well, you have his deck list.
I do.
So you got to go first.
And we've been making fun of it quite a bit, but Centaur Healer will be coming on in.
Oh, well, this is definitely the matchup where this guy is going to shine.
Centaur Healer is going to come on in. Martin has 4 copies in his sideboard of that. He also has a Negate in his board, which he could consider boarding in, but he didn't actually see any spells from Kevin outside of Bump in the Night, which is not the best card to negate, obviously. You can assume that he has some number of burn spells, but he doesn't really know the configuration. In addition to that, 2 Supreme Verdicts to go with his 2 Supremes main deck and 4 Terminus main deck as well, so he could board up to 8 Wrath effects if he wants to. And then the rest of his stuff, he has 3 Dissipates, he has 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Rave Revelation, and a Garrick. Those are, they're whatever. They're not great, but, they're options.
So, and both players here 4-0. Kevin, the Black-Red Zombies player, has 4 copies of Knight of Infamy, which I assume we're going to be seeing here. Very good against Azorius Charm and all the white defensive creatures. 3 copies of Appetite for Brains, which I assume is primarily for Restoration Angel Thragtos decks. Although, I guess Kevin can't be sure that there's actually Thragtos in his deck because he never saw green mana.
That's true. He could just be Blue-White Flash.
Right. 2 copies of Dreadbore, which could do some action against the Planeswalkers, and 2 copies of Liliana the Veil, which I'm not really a big fan of here, but certainly that card has its moments, even in matchups where it's not at its best. So Kevin's deck has both Blood Artist and Brimstone Volley. Those cards were integral to the previous zombie deck, and a lot of that had to do with Mortipod helping facilitate that. Right now, the only actual outlet in this deck is Falkenrath Aristocrat to enable those kind of cards.
Kind of fireball you.
Yeah. I am a little surprised by Blood Artist just because there's fewer zombies in this deck now, which makes getting Gravecrawler back not that reliable. And there's also not that many creatures, period. So I'm a little surprised by that card's presence here, but then again, I was never the biggest advocate for this card in the first place. So.
That's true. You were always kind of against the Blood Artist camp. But you know, you put your money where your mouth was and had a nice performance with you and your walking corpse. So that's admirable. I found it interesting that the point that you brought up, that there are less zombies in the deck now, and I didn't really realize that. There's Diagraph Ghoul, there's Gravecrawler, there's Draught Messenger. That's it.
Yeah.
So it is actually relatively difficult to bring back a Gravecrawler.
Yeah. It is definitely, it is nowhere near as easy as it used to be. That's for sure.
No, I believe Walking Corpse is still legal, so if you need to, there's always you can always do it.
I think that I would probably prefer to play the Shred Freak if I was playing this kind of deck.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not really.
Shred Freak gets a bad rap.
It does. I'm not really sure why. I mean, part of it is just, you know, we are still adapting to sort of the new world of creatures, and so a card that would have been insane 10 years ago that's mediocre now, I think we're more likely to denigrate because it, you know, it's just like, it's supposed to be good and it's not, so it stinks. Also, the fact that it's like quite, I believe, quite poor in draft is also colors people's perception of how good it is in constructed. But there's no question that that card's going to be a part of whatever aggressive red and black decks are being built for the next 2 years.
This is your last call for
I would say that that's definitely the case. It does kind of stink that it trades with, you know, Arbor Elf and Avacyn's Pilgrim. That part of it kind of hurts. I think that's why some people have gone towards the Gorehouse Chainwalker instead. But it's all about what your deck is trying to accomplish, really. If you just want to be balls to the wall aggro, I think Shred Freak is where you'd rather be. Yeah. So it's nice to definitely have the option available. Now, it's kind of funny, this is the second time that we've seen Band Control get paired up against an aggressive deck. Travis Wu against Joe Lissette round 1. We saw that, and Travis was able to take it down. As Martin, it looks like he's taking a mulligan down to 6. This is the deck, these are the decks that I think Band Control is meant to play against. You're supposed to prey on this deck, on these types of decks. And I mean, obviously Martin got mana screwed that game, but I haven't really been impressed with how this deck is supposed to do against an aggressive deck. Have you?
Well, no, I think a lot of it is just once you have a life-gain creature, the game becomes very easy because your other defensive measures can take over. But in the absence of your Centaur Healer or your Thratusk, I actually don't think it has very good game. I mean, it's just kind of fidgety, and the beatdown decks you can build can be very durable against things like Supreme Verdict if you actually care about it. Yeah. You know, Travis's deck that we saw earlier had enough Undying Creatures and enough haste that, you know, Supreme Verdict wasn't bad, but it was not a backbreaker by any stretch of the imagination.
Definitely agree. I definitely agree.
Kevin's also made a pretty big concession to his mana base here by playing 4 copies of Rakdos Guildgate to go along with his 4 Blood Crypts and 4 Dragon Skull Summits. The issue I always had with this deck was the difficulty of just casting your red spells because you only had the 8 duels. Now, playing Guildgate facilitates that, obviously, helps out a lot, but playing a land that comes into play tapped is a huge cost. Now, that said, this deck overloads on 1-drops, so it's realistic to go 1-drop, turn 2, 1-drop, land that comes into play tapped. And since all your creatures have 2 power on the 1-drop slot, it's not like you're playing a huge cost. Like, you still get to play your 2-power guy on turn 2. And it looks like Martin is going down to 5 cards.
Well, you know, that's all part of it. Unfortunately. Yes. Now, again, 1 to 5 clearly sucks. No one enjoys doing this. But again, if there's one deck that can kind of undo a mulligan to 5, this deck's cards are so powerful that it can do such a thing.
Especially, contextually too. Like Centaur Healer's worth at least 2 cards out of Foster's deck. Thritus is worth 3+ cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Azorius Trump Cycles, Farsequel, Final Land, or whatever.
Yeah. He certainly has cards in his deck that are worth more than 1 card out of Foster's deck. So
yeah. Supreme Verdict is typically a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
Supreme Verdict, not the best card against zombies, of course, because of Gravecrawler, because of Geralf's Messenger, the chip away damage that you take from Blood Artist. But, like you said, it can be undone. So we're going to see Martin keep his 5 and start with a Hallowed Fountain. Looks like we are going over a little something here. Okay.
I'm not sure what the holdup here is exactly. Okay.
Clear for takeoff.
We have a Rakdos Cackler.
No leash. He's unleashed.
Off the leash.
Now Martin does have some lands in his hands. He actually has 3 more lands in his hand. It looks like the other card in his hand is a Restoration Angel, so he's going to get to play Magic, at least.
Yep.
You see his draw step was Terminus. I don't think I would Terminus that guy away, but...
I mean, what's the odds you get to 6 mana? How many hits from this thing are you going to take? Obviously, it depends what the rest of his hand's like, but I actually think it's reasonably likely he should have Terminus it.
Okay. Just take a 1-for-1 and move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean...
Now we're going to see an Appetite for Brains, which is a little bit awkward.
All right.
Yep.
Now we get to die with Terminus in our hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your product will be given. You can begin deck construction shortly.
And Cavern Soul's, of course, naming Zombie. And again, so all of them will be uncounterable. No Dissipates or Syncopates going to be happening here. Martin takes a draw step. He does draw a Thragtusk. And now I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, we actually have some game if we... I mean, we're going to take so much damage now.
We would have Terminus that away. We'd be down to...
We'd be at 20.
We'd be at 18. We'd be 18 right now. Yeah. So we see Rakdos Guild Gates. Things that go bump in the night.
So we've taken 4 from that Cackler. Going to be 6 next turn. It's possible in his frustration he just put his card in his hand.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's possible.
It's possible he wasn't even really... Oh, he has Thragtusk online next turn. We're going to see it. We'll see if it's going to be enough.
Now we know, as we see a Cavern Soul's drawn, we see at least one Falkenrath Aristocrat in Kevin's hand, and Aristocrat is one way to go over the top of Thragtusk. Yeah. Just like we've seen Thundermaw Hellkite do that earlier today. We're going to see an attack here. Sunpetal Grove drawn, Thragtusk coming in, putting Martin up to 8, but I don't think that's going to be enough to save him.
Yeah, I mean, we took 6 from that Cackler, I think.
Yeah, we've taken 6 damage from Cackler, so we could theoretically be at 14 right now. Yeah, another Aristocrat gets it done. Yeah, I'm dead. Yep. Yep, so Kevin Foster, in relatively quick fashion, due to some mana troubles and mulligans from Martin, moves on to 5-0 with his Black-Red Zombies deck.
Yep.
A relatively stock list, a lot of 4s.
A lot of 4s, 21 lands and 3 pillars. Everything else is a 4 of.
Yeah, just a very straightforward approach. His sideboard, nothing crazy really going on in there. Just all stuff that this is what a Black-Red Zombies deck looks like, akin to Joe Bernal's deck list from earlier in the format. So,
yep.